one would be turn to your relationship with God or God as you know it. The reality is most people don't have a relationship with God. It's an intellectual concept. So it's hard to turn to an intellectual concept when you're scared. So that's why I personally shake it up all the time, so it stays alive in me. I was using our book of the month last month. We were using a book called, I think it was Everyday Oracles, or something like that. It was about oracles. And I love the idea of oracles because it's a little bit woo-woo. I suspect some of you are too. So I had a teacher who used to use the Science and Me textbook as an oracle, or she would use a scientific Christian mental practice from Christian Science, and she would say, David, close your eyes. I close my eyes. She'd hold the book. Maybe since I'm looking inside. She'd hold the book. She'd close your eyes. I close my eyes. She'd say, okay, pose a question in your mind. Okay, she said. Now, when you want me to start, say start. And then when you say start, I'm going to flip through the book. And then when you say stop, I'm going to stop. And then I'm going to say left or middle, or left or right, and you'll tell me. And then I'll say top, middle, or bottom, and then you'll tell me. And then I'll read to you what I pointed out. And you tell me whether or not And what happened a lot of times, people go, I don't like that answer, I want a different one. But Everyday Oracles as a book was an opportunity for us to realize that we're always connected to the greater. It's funny, this place, you're called the Awareness Network. We're all plugged into a network. So, how I've been practicing it personally, so it stays alive in me, while my congregation is like the rest of the world, scared and reactive, is right now I'm looking at oracles in my life. This month our book is called The Dark Side of the Mind, written by a hypnotherapist. Her point being that there's a distinction between what you want and how you actually see yourself. Even if it's not articulated how you see yourself, there's a part of you that already sees yourself in a particular way. Whether you even articulate it or not is irrelevant. And you can say, I want to lose weight, I want to age with grace, I want to stop smoking. But how you perceive yourself is in conflict with that. So your brain is aware of how you see yourself, so your brain will short circuit whatever it is you say you want to do. So The Dark Side of the Mind is a book to let you know that your brain is actually stopping you from accomplishing what you want to accomplish because it's designed to protect something that you set up, even though you don't know you set it up. Did you get that? But, so I'm not trying to sell the book, The Dark Side of the Mind, or Personal Oracles, but letting you know that I need to keep my spirituality fresh all the time. That's why I'm always in classes, somewhere, anywhere. I'm taking a class. So lately I was experimenting with oracles just to play around. And the purpose of it was to have the experience that I'm not alone. So it started with, it was a Sunday morning, and one of my greatest possessions is something my mother gave me after my father died in 2007. It was his shaving brush. It was, it's a plastic handle with the bristled hairs, and it was, it has a glass mug that looks like a short coffee mug with a big handle, and it's Old Spice. Cheap, probably bottom of the line. My father had been dead for a couple of years, and most of his things had been given away, and most of my siblings had taken things. And my mother still had his shaving mug and the shaving brush. When I went to visit her, she pulled it out and said, I'm ready for you to have this. These people, you know, I have diamonds and bank accounts and properties, but that's pretty valuable to me. So I was in the shower on Sunday morning, a Sunday morning, and I saw it, and my my first thought was, Dad. And then I thought, Dad, show me some signs today. Show me I'm not alone. So on that day I was going for a bike ride. And I called a friend and said, can I join you guys on your training ride? This is before, we do training rides before we go on this 500-mile ride. The reason why you do it is really only so that your ass can survive the seat. That's the only reason why you train, really. Otherwise, you just keep your legs moving, that's all you do. But you want to make sure that your anatomy will not be resistant to the bicycle. So I said, I called a friend and said, can I join you guys on one of your rides? He goes, yeah, but I'm going with the team today. I said, what team? And they're called the New Bear Republic. I don't know why, but that's what they call themselves, the New Bear Republic. And they were going to go, so I joined them in Orinda. I met them at the Orinda BART station. And there were about 100 guys, and we all parked in the Orinda BART station, and we went on a ride onto a street called Grizzly Peak Road. So it's the New Bear Republic, riding on Grizzly Peak Road. And there are 3 major hills on this called the 3 Bears. There's the Papa Bear, the Mama Bear, and the Baby Bear. So just that morning I said, when I saw my shaving brush, Dad, show me some signs today. Show me that I'm not alone. I thought it was just I don't know, coincidence that I called that particular friend and went on a ride with them out in Orinda, the New Bear Republic, on Grizzly Peak Road, over the 3 Bears. And it turns out I'm a better rider than all of them, because they said, let's meet at the top of Papa Bear for a photograph. So I got at the top of the hill that I thought was Papa Bear, and I was the only one there. And while I was there, I remembered something. My father had very few indulgences. At least when you're a blue-collar worker with 10 kids and a wife that's a stay-at-home mom, you have very few indulgences. One indulgence he had was he liked beer. It was rare that he got it, but he liked it. And he liked the cheapest, most awful brand ever, Hams.
I knew you were going to say that.
Ham's image was a bear.
A bear.
And then I remembered all of my nieces and nephews, and by the way, there's 50 of them. I have 50 nieces and nephews, not including great nieces and nephews. They all called my dad Bear. He was Bear, Papa Bear. So there I was with the New Bear Republic on Grizzly Peak Road, with 3 bears. Say, Dad, show me a sign, and I remembered Ham's beer. My dad was Papa Bear. That was his name. They called him Bear. And I'm telling you this because it's important for me to keep my spirituality alive in moments like Orlando or elections, so that I'm not distracted by the inaccuracy of the portrayal of news. Now, news is showing us the events. Now, these are facts, but facts are not truth. Facts change. Truth never changes. But facts change. But some people treat facts like it's the truth. It's just a fact. But what's there now can be changed later. Even my good mood, by the way, could be a fact, but it could change in just a minute. We were going into escrow for our property, and it was a particularly difficult escrow. Nothing was working. It's like it kept falling out, and I kept saying to Mauricio, I want to keep pushing this. And the only reason why we did is because he's clear. And what I know about, one of the great things about partnership for me is, when I'm not clear, if my partner's clear, I will lean on their clarity. You know, I heard this from people who are in 12-step meetings. If you don't know how to stay sober, help someone else stay sober, and that will help you stay sober. So when I'm not clear, and he is, I'll lean on his clarity. So he kept pushing. This escrow went on forever. And I was beginning to think it was a bad idea. So, being that our book of the month was called Everyday Oracles, I said, if this property on Olympic pension like my dad had. Remember those pensions, gold watches? Take care of you forever from 55 on? That doesn't exist anymore. So part of the plan for us is rental properties. So I was saying, playing around with, do any of you ever test the universe?
Yes.
Show me a sign. So I can be peaceful. That this is in alignment. That's my reminder. That's my 5-minute, right?
No.
No, you got 5 minutes,
But
a couple minutes.
You got 7.
That's a sign. Show me a sign.
There it is.
I'll begin to wrap up. So, I was on my way to drive to this other state, but I was completely unhappy, thinking this is a bad idea. This is a bad idea. But Mauricio was so clear, and he's probably the smartest, most amazing person I've ever met. So he's that clear. I'm like, all right, I have to surrender to this, but I don't like it. So I said, God, show me a sign that this is the right thing to do. So I set the GPS on my car, and the way it had me going south on 4th Street in San Jose, and then turn left onto Reed, right onto 7th, left onto 280 South to get on 680 to go east. But right as I got to Reed, I ignored my GPS and I turned right. I thought, I'm going to get gas at Valero. I didn't need gas. I had my quarter tank was empty. I had 3/4 of a tank. I didn't need gas for a while. But I'm going to go get gas on Valero. So I went against my GPS, turned right on Reed, turned left onto 1st, and all of a sudden a whole flurry of things happened at the same time. There were cops everywhere on motorcycles, and they were parked on the streets like this, on the sides, and the lights were flashing, and they stopped traffic, like right in front of me. A cop got out and stopped me. And then, so I was running this way in the middle of the street was a whole group of people. 20 of them or so were in t-shirts and shorts, followed by newscasters and more police. And they were carrying a lit Olympic torch. So while I was sitting there, I went, is that an Olympic torch? So I looked online, is the Olympic torch moving through San Jose? It's like, no, it's on its way to Brazil, so it's currently in South America somewhere. I thought, that can't be. And well, it turns out that there's the Law Officers Association works with the Special Olympics that actually does an Olympic torch run. And I was just asking for a sign, and I said, all right. So, anyway, and some people might say, well, that was just coincidence. It doesn't matter. What happened for me is I felt myself very peaceful and surrendered to, okay, good with this.
So allowed you to surrender to the process.
Toes to nose. So, Benjamin Zander, Benjamin Zander is a conductor, born and raised in Britain, and he conducts, in fact, you may want to watch a TED Talk. It's one of the best ones I've ever seen, and it's Benjamin Zander. And Benjamin Zander is talking about classical music. And in it, he's talking about you'll know you're doing a good job when he says to CEOs, you'll know you're doing a good job when your employees' eyes are shining. You know you're a good parent when your children's eyes are shining. And I was thinking, I'll know I'm a good leader when those people with whom I work have shining eyes. Well, he wrote a book called The Art of Possibility, and he and his wife co-wrote it. So let me tell you about Toes to Nose as I close. I'll close with Toes to Nose. They were going on a whitewater river rafting trip in Massachusetts, somewhere near Boston. And all through the preparation for the trip, they kept saying, if you fall out of the boat, the first thing you must remember is toes to nose. Because if you're laying down, the swiftness of the river could cause your leg to get caught in something and you will drown. Also, with the swirling, you won't know which way is up. But something happens when you put toes to nose. So here's the 3 steps. Toes to nose. Look for the boat. Grab an oar or the rope. So if you fall out, what happens? Toes to nose. Look for the boat. Grab an oar or the rope. Okay, so wait, what happens? You toes to nose. Look for the boat. Grab an oar or a rope. So she thought that they were just treating her like she was stupid, because just before they got on the boat, they asked her again, what do you do if you fall out? She went, oh my God, we're dealing with, forgive me, I think she said retarded people.
Oh, dear.
And toes to nose, look for the boat, grab the oar or the rope. Well, on the rafting trip, they reached the 1-5 class rapids, and the boat flipped. And she found herself in the water. And she said, I was neither up nor down. It was neither light nor dark. There was no air, and I didn't know where I was. But out of nowhere was this voice that said, toes to nose. And she lifted her legs, and she floated to the top. Looked for the boat, and grabbed the oar or rope, and she did, and she was saved. And I was thinking about that. Like what happened in Orlando. We're drowning. We don't know what to do. Everything's mishmashed and crazy. So, toes to nose. So I need to know what is my toes to nose and have it available when I don't. Now, for me physically, it has to do with organic fruits and vegetables. So I'm not kidding, Connie, when I said I was so happy to have that in my hand this morning. I go visit my mother in Missouri, and when I'm there, all she wants is fried mush and processed food, and she's very happy to have macaroni and cheese and cookies, and she's diabetic, so they have her on this amazing diet. Well, when I'm around, I jailbreak her. But after a few days when there, my world starts getting weird. And then I hear toes to nose. Get an organic apple. Okay. So I realize I'm out of time, and I want to thank you for letting me be here with you. I really love you guys.
Where's the sheet, the job sheet?
And they got it, job sheet.